We're still getting no movement, right? Not from what I've seen. Total 49.5 still everywhere, Sam?
Some 49s are getting
That's
popular
true.
in Vegas. Yeah, Circa,
Yeah.
Superbook, South Point all have 49. One book in this country has 48 and a half.
I
So
see
we're
that.
starting to see some money under. I did snag some more first quarter under 9.5. Problem is when the total comes down, the first half comes down, the first quarter comes down. Those 9.5s are now flat. The best price that I see on first quarter under is actually at BetMGM, under 9.5 points at even money. So that'll be something to pay attention to.
Eagles slow starts. That is one thing about their great regular season that you could point to and say this is where they struggled. There wasn't much. Maybe you're picking nits a little bit, but they did have slow starts throughout the entire season. And this is something with big games, we see it a lot. Just the feeling out period. And you have great defensive coordinators too, right? So the offense is going to, even though it is a scripted, like you'll hear people make that case as well. Well, the scripted plays, it's going to be great. Andy Reid. But yeah, I do like that look under 9.5. So what do you think it would have to get to for it to get off of that number to where I guess 8.5 would not be that big of a deal because going through the 9 is not a key. So what number would you say, okay, you might want to think twice or maybe not bet into it because it doesn't hold value?
8.5, I guess,
Yeah.
because of 6-3. I don't think it's going to move that much off. Remember, this used to be a number that was 10 for a long time, and now it's finally just under that 10. So 9.5 juiced over. It's hard to imagine it moving much lower. Maybe 9, but I doubt it because the thing about the Super Bowl is it attracts people that bet overs. And not that the first quarter market, first half market are huge handle markets, but I think you'd see some professional money come in over 9. So it's probably going to close 9.5, just a little bit juice to the over, but we shall see. I mean, this game total is really the indicator of what the other ones are going to do, the quarter and the half. And it's tough to envision this game total going to 48 because then people would bet over 48. So these are extremely tight lines. As you know, these are the tightest lines of the season. The side will move a little bit and then it'll move back. The total moves a little bit and then it moves back. This is probably on Thursday, January 30th, a pretty solid snapshot of where we're going to be in 10 days now? Is it 10?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 10 days.
It's
probably going to be close to Kansas City minus 1.5, total 49. That's pretty fair.
You know what's stupid? People talking about what Jason Kelce wants in this game. First off, who the hell cares still this much about both Kelce brothers? Now that one's outside the league, one's a media member, and part of, I guess, his job is looking for attention. That clip was everywhere. Oh, about, is he going to root for his brother? Is he going to root for the Eagles? How is this even a debate? Or are we just in a state where we're just looking for Super Bowl storylines? I don't have a brother, but if I had a sibling, okay, let's put it this way. I've been at this company a really long time. If I have a sibling that is competing with this company, who am I rooting for? I know it's not apples to apples here, but it's the dumbest conversation ever. And I guess you get that the Thursday, Friday before all the excitement, and then you get the real breakdowns coming up next week. But my God, it was everywhere yesterday. I'm like, who the hell cares? We all know he's cheering for his brother. He should cheer for his brother. Oh, we don't want to upset the crazy Eagles fans. They've given him a career, and he's a king in that town. Who the hell cares? It's fine. You can say, I want my brother to beat my former team. It's not a big deal.
Is that what he said? I thought there was a small chance he'd say Eagles.
Well, no, he wouldn't really commit. He just basically
perfect.
said,
he plays the middle.
Yeah. Yes, he played both sides. I want both to do well. I will always root for my brother. I'm like, this is so lame. How is this podcast so damn popular? Because I don't understand the appeal. I think people are just hoping that one day out of nowhere, Taylor Swift is going to pop up on the podcast and then it would go bonkers, which will happen once Travis Kelce retires so they can continue to be talked about. I don't think he's going to retire after this game. I know Nate Collins was joking, but he threw out that idea of a proposal after the game. That's not going to happen. I don't think Kelce's going to retire either. It's not when he wants, but from time to time, he's still playing at a very high level. And given this matchup, it would not surprise me in the least if, let's say, he gets 80 to 90 yards in this game.
People
we just saw it a couple games ago.
His brother retiring. His brother got hit on every play. Hard being the center. It's a little different. Jason Kelce's trajectory and Travis Kelce's trajectory. Now, Kelce lays some blocks, takes some hits, Travis, of course, but not like his brother did. And Travis at 35 can play, if he wants to, can play 3 more years. I mean, he's still playing at a relatively high level. You don't think 3? He could. I'm not saying he will. He could.
Yeah. Is he? So we know for the playoff receiving, there's a bunch of receiving records that he's close to with Jerry Rice. And if he continues to play on this team, it's not going to happen this playoff. There was a chance if he had a big AFC championship game that he could catch Jerry Rice this year. And I think if that would have happened, maybe he would retire. He doesn't need to keep playing. Certainly has the money. I don't know if it's going to be a long-term thing with Swift, and then he never has to do anything. He doesn't have to do a Pfizer commercial or anything for the rest of his life. But I think he's going to continue to play as well. I'm surprised all the chatter. Like, why would you have the perfect situation? You have maybe the greatest quarterback of all time, maybe the greatest play caller of all time. You can just cruise through the regular season, which it appears he's done over the last couple of years, and you can keep collecting rings. Don't know if it happens this year, but that's the idea. Why would you walk away if you could continue to play? I think he'll play too.
I don't know. I'm glad you brought up Pfizer commercial, though. I saw one last night in the hotel room.
Yeah.
Why are we still doing that? There's a commercial of John Legend with double Band-Aids playing the piano in a suit. And I'm like, we're still doing this, huh? Like, why? Whatever. Not to go down that rabbit hole.
I think the only commercials I see, I think for most of our audience, it's obviously sports, and that's what still sells right now. But it's NFL games. Outside of that, shows I watch, like, it's all on the apps. It doesn't have these commercials unless they're promoting their own thing. So I mean, I guess that's why you end up thinking about that. I have not seen that John Legend one. I'm very much looking forward to that, Sam.
It's awful. Okay, I'm being told that we cannot connect with Noops as of now, but we do have some audio from Kurt Warner, who was on You Better You Bet earlier this week, talking about how the Chiefs can potentially, I don't know if stop is the right word, but slow Saquon Barkley. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I think, again, the easy answer is, well, no. Nobody's really stopped this running game for the most part. But, you know, you go back and look at this run for the Chiefs, and one thing that they've always done really well is stop the run. You know, I've been seeing some stats, and I can't remember how long it's been, but they haven't given up a 100-yard rusher in these kind of moments in a long time. And so that's going to be a great challenge on both sides for the Eagles to figure out how to break that mold, and for the Chiefs, if they do it again, to figure out, how to slow down and stop this great offensive line and maybe the best running back in the league. So it's a challenge, but they've been really, really good at it. And so I expect them to be really, really good again. And obviously the key to doing that is stopping the home run more than anything. I mean, nobody's had more big plays in the entire NFL this year than Saquon Barkley. And that, to me, is what makes this run game different. It can be 3 yards, but at any point in time, Saquon can go the distance, and he can do it numerous times within a game. And that, to me, is going to be the key for the Chiefs is if you're going to hold them down, it's because you're holding them to these shorter runs. You're not giving up that big home run at some point in time, but it's so hard to do. I mean, obviously, Washington, the first play of the game last week, boom, he's gone. And, they have an 18-play drive, and they got all the momentum talking about Washington at the time. And then one play later, game is tied. Saquon has a big play, momentum back to the home team, and that's what he can do. But again, I'm not going to put anything past this team. They find ways. They haven't scored 30 points in a game all year long. Well, the Bills score 29. They need at least 30. They get 32 and they win the game. So they just find a way to do what needs to be done every time out. So you can't count them out, but it's definitely not going to be easy.
That's Kurt Warner, as heard on You Better You Bet, weekdays, 3 to 7 p.m. Eastern. I love Kurt Warner. I think he's great doing the games. He's seen a lot. He's won a Super Bowl. He's played in another Super Bowl. I think he makes a lot of good points. The thing is, it all comes down in our racket to the numbers. And Saquon Barkley rushing yards right now, Joe, anywhere from 112.5 to 116.5 in terms of how many times he will run the ball. 20.5 to 22.5. I've been very vocal on social. I don't think he's touching it enough. He didn't touch it enough against the Rams and didn't touch it enough against the Commanders. And people are like, oh, they were blowing them out. Stop. They were not blowing them out at the end of the third quarter. It was still an 11-point game. It was far from over, and he only had 10 touches. He got 5 more in the fourth, including a touchdown. Eventually, yes, they put it away. But I mean, he hasn't been touching the ball as much as I would like as somebody holding Eagles futures. I wonder if that changes in the Super Bowl.
Gainwell was getting touches in the first half, so don't tell me that it was game script. At the very, very end, it was. In the fourth quarter, it was. But before that, no. Gainwell was getting looks, and they were working in everybody. I think he's beat up, man. And they know it, and their best chance of winning a Super Bowl is that guy being 100%. Now, you get 2 weeks to rest up, but I certainly think it's part of it. I also like Kurt Warner. I don't know what he's saying, honestly, because he was saying how great the Chiefs are at stopping the run, but then he also played the side of how great Saquon Barkley is. Like, yes, I understand what you're saying as far as that goes. Both sides are great, but in our racket, we've got to pick a side. If you're going to play a number, are you going over or are you going under? I would be pro Saquon in this situation. Now, most of the year, the Chiefs are shutting down the run. And yes, if you look at the yards allowed as far as rushers and the number of times they've had a 100-yard rusher go against them, yeah, that's factually correct. But there's context to all that. When you're winning by 3 scores, the other team isn't going to run the ball. They can't afford to do that if they want to have some chance of catching you in this game. So game script is part of that. And I had mentioned yesterday, if you look most recently, the Chiefs are not that strong against the run. Maybe they don't have 100-yard rushers, but a lot of teams are using tandems, and they are giving up 100 yards. They've given up at least 100 rushing yards in each of their last 4 games, 6 of 8. That was not happening. I think it was the first 12 weeks of the year. But ever since, they are a little leaky in the run game. And obviously, this is going to be the toughest run game that they faced all season long. So I'm thinking pro Saquon as far as the props want to go. Yeah, touchdown, there's no value. We can't really do anything there unless we're going to pair it with other things. You think it's going to be a high-scoring game because he's minus 195 for an anytime touchdown. The number 112.5. So if you want to hit that number, they're going to have to give up a 100-yard rusher in this spot. But I do think that's one of the areas of this game, Sam, where Philly will have an advantage over KC.
Kansas City has a really good defense. It's not great. It's really good. Mm-hmm. They can be had, though, against physical running attacks. And the one thing that hasn't been discussed is that not only do the Eagles have a great player in Barkley, the Eagles have the best offensive line the Chiefs will see all season. It's not really that close either. And I'm also dealing with a lot of this last 48 hours. People asking me either in person or over text or in DM, do you like Jalen Hurts MVP? And I go, maybe. What about Barkley? Maybe. My counter, why don't you just bet the Eagles to win the game? I don't know. It's funny how that works.
What is I don't know?
People want to bet Barkley and they want to bet Hurts, but they don't want to bet the Eagles. And I'm thinking to myself, why? They're not winning unless the Eagles win. There's more hesitancy to bet the Eagles than there is to bet Eagles players to win MVP.